Damn, that was crazy. You heard that?
That was a crack?
Yeah. That was my chest cracking. Sheesh. We just keep building. We just keep building more value, more value, more value. What's up, y'all? Check this out, guys. Check this out, guys. So, exclusive to our students only. When I tell you guys are literally franchising my system, pretty much. Everything that I built in my life, man, I'm handing y'all the keys. I'm giving y'all the vehicles. So we are giving all of our students an exclusive access to our editing team where for $60, if you're a member of the Six Figure Barber Mentorship, for $60, they will edit a long form video for you, 5 short form videos, and the thumbnail for $60. This is a crew that knows everything about the barbering industry. They've been doing my content for years. They're the reason why I was able to post every single day for a year. And I'm letting you guys have access to my team. I'm sharing them with you for $60 for 2 haircuts. For some of you guys, that's 1 haircut, and you have an editing team. For $240 a month, you will have enough content for 2 months, enough long forms every week, at least 1 upload every week. Like this will pay for itself, pretty much. And this is exclusive to our members in the Six Figure Barber Mentorship. Man, the value just keeps coming. The value just keeps coming, bro. Like, if you're tired of editing your own stuff and you're doing well behind the chair, invest in your business. Now you have the resources here. We just keep stacking value, guys. Just keep stacking value. So I thought I'd share that with y'all. Some of y'all might miss it. I don't make any money off of that. Like, usually what happens is when you try to build your own editing team, you have to teach them. You have to give them feedback. They have to learn about your industry, learn what makes your target audience attracted or engaged in your content. And you're gonna pay more than $60 for a long form, 5 shorts, and the thumbnails. Thanks, Leo. Appreciate it, man. Man, I just hope y'all seen the value here. Oh man, it's Saturday. People working right now. Ain't nobody. I wasted money on this dumb shit. This shit pissed me off. I need to pay somebody. Let me pay somebody. Oh my god, $10,000, bro. It's crazy. What up, Leah? Do all your barbers start on commission? Yes, now they do. Before they didn't. Before, with the same process as starting at market rates and building from there. Same process with barbershops. If your market is used to commission, do commissions. Just make sure your barbers have a six-figure opportunity. I should probably speak on that. Hey, appreciate it, Sammy. Thank you for joining the group, man. Joining the mentorship. I'm hoping you're seeing the value, bro. I need to make a video on that though. Matter of fact, let me put that on my to-do list. Supply and demand is real for barbershops to start at market rates and with a six-figure barber opportunity in mind and scale from there. Excuse me. I still charge my barbers at my shop roofer. Okay, dope. Yeah, Dave. You'll definitely hear more about that as we expand. And you saw the bomb. I'm assuming, right? The business operations manual. Ooh, I can't stop. Hey, hello from Israel. What's up, man? How are you? I wanna be next to you. Ooh. 4 hours a freaking year. What is this? What are you on crack? 4 hours a year ain't gonna do nothing for me. These people are crazy, man. The prices are insane, man. Yeah, check this out. NYC Scout. This is what we just launched. So we just launched. This is my literally. I built an editing team that allowed me to scale my content creation as a business owner. And they understand the barbering industry. They understand what what barbers are looking for, all that stuff, and they understand if you're trying to do haircut tutorials, how to edit those. They understand if you're trying to do promo for clients, they understand all that. And so, guys, for $60, I don't make any money off of this. I asked them, bro, get me the cheapest price you guys can do this for, so that you're gonna make this up on volume, right? And they came up with a $60 price point. You get a fully edited long form video. You get 5 cut up shorts from that long form video. And you get the thumbnail, all for $60 a pop. I would do this once a week, and you'll have a video for YouTube once a week. You'll have 5 shorts every week for your Instagram or TikTok or your shorts. And you'll have the thumbnail. Shoot, do this twice a week and you'll have 2 videos on YouTube, and you'll have enough content for 2 shorts a week or a day for a week. Like, this is insane value for $60. This is a proven team, very consistent, and this is exclusive. Leo, yes, each time. Think about it, Leo. How long does it take you to edit a long form video, cut it up into 5 shorts, and make the thumbnail? How much would you charge for that? If it takes somebody 6 hours to do that type of work, you're talking about you're paying these guys $10 an hour to do this. If you don't see the value in this, I can't help you out. But if you do, this is insane value for an insane price. For some of you guys, this is 1 haircut. For some of you guys, this is 2 haircuts. And this is going to get you way more clients than one or two. You know what I mean? So this is exclusive to the Six Figure Barber mentorship only. I don't know where else you're going to get a price like this for the quality of work you're going to get. You know what I mean? This is just one of the many things we do in our mentorship to provide value. So I want to be next to you. Yeah, I don't think. All right, so you make six figures. Do you have tax returns that show your six figures? Do you have the quality of life you want with with six figures? Do you make six? Like, do you plan on making six figures the rest of your life the way that you're doing it? A lot of people get good at cutting hair. Doesn't mean they can duplicate it. They can teach it. A lot of people can get to six figures. Doesn't mean it's a scalable six figures. There's a type of way of making six figures and not being able to outgrow that. And so if that's the case, you kind of got to break it down and rebuild it, to be honest with you. Let me see if I can find that part of this Hormozy video, because it goes over a lot of people's heads. Everybody's six figures ain't built the same. My six figures don't stop. I do unlimited six figures. I can duplicate my six figures, and I have done it up to eight figures. You know what I mean? Like, there's six figures where you build it and it can grow into eight figures. There's six figures when you build it can only do six figures, can never outgrow six figures. And if you're fine with that, then you don't need the mentorship. If you want to keep growing, then you need the mentorship. If you don't know how to do it, right? Look, Drew is not talking about he made six figures. Drew is talking about he got team members that are making six figures. Yeah, if you feel capped, you might have built that six figures wrong. I don't see any cap at all. The way I built my six figures, it is endless. There's no cap over here. You know what I mean? And so if you want to learn that, that's what the mentorship is for. If the world, I'd want to be next to you. I wanna, You know what? I want to watch this video. Let's watch this video, guys. There's only one problem, dude. There's only one problem, dude. You can't hear anything, dude. And the reason why is because my headphones are dead. Alec, how'd you know that was Bruno Mars? Not this play. What's up, bro? Did you see the new service we just added to the mentorship? Man, we just keep adding more gems, guys. We just keep adding more value. We're doing stuff that can't be really duplicated, you know? It's going to take a lot to duplicate the type of value we're giving, guys. Look, Alec, we just gave all of our students in the mentorship access to our editing team. You get a fully edited long form, 5 shorts cut from that long form, and a custom thumbnail for that long form for $60. Sheesh. Man, that's more work than a haircut. That's more work than a haircut. And it's exclusive to the Six Figure Barber Mentorship. You get my editing team that helped me produce 365 videos in 365 days on YouTube when AI didn't exist, when only Casey Neistat was doing that. And now the editing team is available to you. Coach them, give them feedback on how you want your content done, but they'll do the work for you. This is how you scale, guys. I've already built the team. They already have the processes in place. We've taught them exactly how to do this. Throughout the past few years, we've worked together to make this a streamlined, duplicatable process. And now you guys have access to it because you're part of the mentorship. All right, let's go back to watching that video. What up, Alec? We got two Alex in here. My dog Alec and my dog Alec Barbero, and my dog Alec the Barber. The only two Alex I know with that name. Hey, let's go. They would love that, bro. They'd love to work with you for sure. Because you make dope content, bro. All you got to do, guys, Alec, if I was you, I would just show them, make sure you show them your content, and they'll literally duplicate your content. You know what I mean? And now, bro, you can focus on more life and more creativity, spend less time doing the work. That's the E-Myth, right? Alec, if you've read the book, The E-Myth, right now, if you're doing all your own editing and stuff, you can't scale that way. And you can't improve your quality of life that way. So utilize this, bro. This is going to be fun. All right, what was I doing? If the words... But for some reason, it won't let me play it. Why won't you let me play this? What, Zach? What do you mean, do they do voiceovers? Why would you want somebody else do? No, they don't do voiceovers for you, bro. These are video editors, not actors. Unless you asking, I don't know what kind of question you're asking. Are you saying they edit it and then you do the voiceover? And then they edit your voiceover into it? Yes, they'll do that. But they're not going to do a voiceover for you. I hope that's not your question, bro. I hope. Yes, sir. There you go. I think it works.
Walk you through the actual marketing and sales tactics we use so that you can apply those things to your business too. So one of the newer companies in our portfolio was doing about $570,000 per month, and they had plateaued there month after month after month for about 6 months. So let's start with marketing. So we had in this business a webinar-based business, meaning it's running ads to a video that the founder would get on and basically pitch a call to find out more. All right, so I'm gonna give you current state. So our show rate for this webinar was 18%, which is really not good. You want it to be 25 or kind of higher. The schedule rate from the webinar, meaning people who book to then take a sales call, I actually don't have that number, but we did improve it. So I'll tell you what we ended up doing. And before we made these changes, we were getting 58 calls booked per webinar, all right? So that's where we started. So the problem starting with this was the show rate. So the issue is that we were only doing one time per week for the founder. So they'd only wanted to do kind of like one pitch per week. And the issue is that means that if somebody books on, let's call it Monday, and she does the webinar on Sunday, then it means all of this time in between is where people could forget about it, get busy, fall off, and essentially just not show up, even though we paid to get the opt-in. So we did 4 things to actually fix this. So number 1 is that we introduced a long email sequence. So we had 9 emails that went out. And we just basically improved the email. So we simplified the language, we put it more benefit driven, and basically sold the reason they should attend. And we try to hit it from different angles. So we try to hit it from pain, we try to hit it from speed, we try to hit it from ease, we try to hit it from being stuck and plateaued. Because the big thing that you always have to remember is that pain is what drives motivation. All right, that's what gets people to actually take action. The second thing we did is we added an SMS, because if people aren't showing up, then you want to communicate in more places in more ways. And so some people, like me specifically, I'm way more text responsive than I am email responsive. I rarely check my email, but I do check my texts. The next thing that we did on top of that was within the emails, we actually did some sort of behavior response. All right, so you're like, what the hell does that mean? And so behavior response means that if someone engages in any piece of content, they click, they open it, we then sent them behind the scenes content. So think about this as exclusive or secret stuff that made it show that we saw what they were doing, which is also something every business wants. It's like, oh man, this is pretty cool. I didn't know they could do something like this. Just showing kind of some more sophistication in marketing. And then the fourth thing that we did was, again, with more places, more ways, we had voicemail messages that we sent out to them. And so that means that we covered people who like text, people who like email, people who like voicemail, and then we also had video essentially for people who took an engagement. So we had all 4 ways that people consume information that we added in prior to the webinar. And so one of the other things that you can do, obviously besides pain, is that you add in proof. And so you can alternate between proof and pain, but big picture is that you always want to use the value equation, which you've got dream, which is what's the big thing that they want to have happen. You've got risk, so you want to decrease the risk. This is where proof comes in. And you want to decrease the time, so that's speed, and you want to decrease the hard, right? Which is you want to make it easy. And so we want to show how easy it is, how fast it is, how risk-free it is with proof, and we want to make sure that we're very accurately describing what they want to have happen. Yeah, and if you especially have people who have, your avatar doesn't respond to email, because sometimes there are industries, if you're in finance, a lot of people respond to emails. If you're in painters, and maybe blue collar workers, you might have fewer responses to emails. So that's okay. So instead, it's like making sure that we have these multiple ways, like text, for example, has a 95 to 99% open rate. So people will get the message. And so obviously you don't want to abuse it, but having just a few strategically placed texts can massively increase the show up rate to things. And I would bet that if I had to put between all of these things, this would be the biggest one that had the increase in show up rates. And so because we had CTAs inside the email to get them to engage, we also long-term keep the health of our email account, because it shows that we're not just spamming people. Instead, people are getting our emails, they're opening them, they're reading them, they're taking an action. All of those increase the overall health of your email server and your deliverability. And so that way you can continue to get your emails delivered. Rather than getting into the promo tabs, is getting a little bit tactical, but you get into a second tab with an email, which is like, oh, no one ever checks the spam folder, essentially. The big reason that we have to do all this stuff is because no one remembers what they signed up for this morning, let alone 5 days ago. And so
Hold on, sorry guys. For barbering, nah, man, it's not that serious, bro. I do my marketing and stuff myself for 8 figures worth of companies. That do 8 figures worth of revenues. I'm not doing a marketing team and a cold outreach team for barbershops or for haircuts. I don't like between your team of barbers and yourself, you guys should be able to handle this easily, especially if you're following our system in the mentorship. You have barber roles, you have barber roles, management and ownership roles, and together you guys, it's not a lot of heavy lifting. It's just do the work,
We do this because you have to remind them, and don't worry about, quote, bothering people. Now, do you want to send 5 a day? No, that's probably not smart. But if you send 1 reminder a day between a certain time and an event, there's nothing wrong with that. And so the most important part of the sequence, I'll tell you right now, is 24 hours before. So you're thinking the night before, you have the morning of, which is AM, and then 1 hour prior. These are the 3 most important reminders that you want to send out. These are the ones that you definitely want to have as SMS. So you might be wondering, well, how much did we increase the show up rate percentage? Well, we went from 18% to 24%, which means that this increase was a 33% increase right off the bat. And so one of the things I think is one of the most underutilized ways to make a business more money, like a lot of people obsess about close rates, and we're going to talk about what we did with sales, but you can get a 33% increase in show up rates and have the same result as having a 33% increase in close rates. But getting 33% more people to show up is usually way easier, and you're able to automate a lot of that to a great degree. So it's one-time work that have permanent increases in revenue and profit, rather than having to consistently drill a team on how to close, which you absolutely should do. It just takes more work. So the next problem that we had was that people who were actually attending, so now we have our 24% of people who are showing up, is that they weren't actually choosing to book a call. And so problem number 2, no bookings, right? And so what we did is we solved a few things inside of how we structure the webinar to get way more people to show up, and I'll show you just how many. So the first thing that we did is we actually looked at what was. And so I think people skip this step, but this is the real work, is you look at the webinar, you look at the attendance rates, you look at the drop-off points, you look at where there's spikes in engagement. Spikes in engagement are gonna be the interest points where you're like, okay, this is something, maybe we should expand some of this stuff. And where you have huge drop-offs, then you're like, ooh, we need to improve this. And so for us, we saw we were losing a ton of people right at the beginning of the webinar. And so we're like, okay, this is where we're gonna put most of our attention, which by the way, if you're doing anything, content sales, webinars, whatever, the first 5 minutes and even the first 60 seconds is where you should be obsessing. Even in a different company we have in our portfolio, which does a tremendous amount greater volume than this particular company, we re-scripted the first 5 minutes of presentation and got a 20% increase in close rates. Just redoing 5 minutes, and it was on a 3-hour presentation. So based on the research, we did 4 things. The first thing we did is we scripted a faster intro. Basically getting to the point much faster and being clearer about why they are here and what they're gonna get from it. And so if you're like, well, what would that actually look like? Well, it actually follows the exact same format that we use for our content, which is proof, promise, plan. So proof is, hey, I helped someone just like you, and you want them to identify with the proof that you are showing so they can approximate, oh, this is just like me. The promise is clearly defining exactly what they're going to get, both from the webinar and potentially after the webinar. And then the plan is to set expectations for how the next 60, 90, however many minutes your presentation is, so they know where they're going. And the key point here with all the faster intro stuff is you just want to get to the meat. When I look at a beginner sales call or beginner sales presentation or VSL, video sales letter, oftentimes people spend a minute, 2 minutes just like meandering, like trying to figure out what they're saying. And they don't know that they're losing like 40% of their audience in the first 2 minutes before they figure out what they're going to start saying. So get to the point. Number 2 is we mention live that this is live. So this was a live webinar they were doing. And the thing is that we weren't actually showing it. So we're incurring the cost of being live, but we want to say the date, you want to say the time, you want to say the weather, you want to say any current events, right? These are all things that give indications that this is happening.
This isn't very relatable. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna change this. This is what I really liked that we watched. Where is it? I went to popular. It was this.
The way that you can compare two different to getting to $1 million. Start back at 0 and
this is it right here. This is it right here. Where I'm trying to, this is the section. This entire section is so fire. So this is what I want y'all to watch. It is so fire. And it's literally principle after principle, what we've been teaching the last 3 years in the mentorship. This came out 11 months ago. The last 3 years we've been teaching this. You guys, this is gem after gem after gem.
This is the blueprint to becoming a millionaire, and I'm gonna walk you through the levels to becoming one. Level 1 is the fundamentals of wealth creation, and we're gonna start with, what even is a millionaire? It's someone whose net worth, excluding their primary residence, is in excess of $1 million. Assets minus liabilities. For example, let's say you own a $1 million house and you owe $500,000 on it. If you had nothing else saved up in your bank account, which I would hope that you did, but let's just say you had nothing else saved up in your bank account, then your net worth would be $500K. In this instance.
Yeah, Donnie, because I keep telling guys, man, listen, just because you got 6 to 6 figures doesn't mean this mentorship doesn't help you. A lot of barbers build 6 figures incomes that are not scalable. If you hit a wall at 6 figures, you didn't build the same 6 figures I built, because I've yet to be capped. The same 6-figure income that I built, I've just duplicated it to 8 figures. So if you're stuck at 6 figures, maybe you stacked the bricks wrong getting to that 6 figures. And he breaks down, the easiest analogy for barbers to understand this.
You would not be a millionaire, right? Now let's call this a $1 million house and you owed nothing on it. Your net worth would be $1 million. Now, there's a difference between having a liquid net worth versus a net worth. A liquid net worth is assets that you can trade in and out of. So if I had $1 million in cash in my bank account versus owning assets that were worth $1 million, those are different things. And you might be wondering, how does Alex have any authority to speak on the subject? I'll tell you why. I became a millionaire in my early 20s. I had my first cash million in my bank account when I was 27, and I crossed $100 million in net worth by age 31. So I became a millionaire 100 times in a row. So I can tell you how to do it at least once. And I've helped over 100 other people create $1 million plus net worths over my career. And those are just the ones that I know about, let alone all the people in our community have done a lot better than that. And so we go to step 2 in this little journey of ours, which is equity. Because there's 2 ways that you can become a millionaire. You can earn your way there, or you can own your way there. And the faster way is to own your way there. And that's what I'm gonna walk you through. So I'm gonna walk you through both examples of earning your way there, which is how I first thought it was, versus owning. So if I wanna earn my way to $1 million, then I'm going to need to make $2 million over X period of time, and then divide that by 2 because of taxes to get to my $1 million. Let's say I'm making $200,000 a year, and I made $200,000 a year for a decade. That's assuming that you saved 100% of your income. You'd be able to earn your way to $1 million in liquid net worth. On the other hand, you can own—
Hold on. This is the strategy. This is the mindset, barbers who are trying to skip the process and, yo, I'm trying to get to $80. I'm trying to get to $60 a cut. Yo, I'm going to get in the studio. I'm going to get in a studio and I'm going to do house calls. Bro, I'm going to do house calls. This is the mindset. This is the hat you're wearing. All right. The mindset and the hat I'm trying to give you guys to wear is the latter. Here we go.
To $1 million in liquid net worth. On the other hand, you can own your way, meaning that you own assets, either, which could be businesses or real estate, which are probably the two most common assets that people own that are trying to invest.
Oh, wait a second. Let's head over to the six-figure barber mentorship and let's take a look at something. When you hit the fork, what do we start teaching you? Barbershop wealth, that's a business. Wealth in stocks, that's businesses. Wealth in real estate, that's more assets. Wealth in products and brands, that's more assets. That's where I'm trying to help you guys get to. Because it's one thing to make the money. It's another to be a slave to it. And a lot of people are building six-figure incomes where they're capped for life. Let's continue.
When I say invest, when you are an entrepreneur, you are investing. You're just heavily indexed on one stock, which is your own. Let's say that I create a business that gets to $250,000 per year. In some instances, I might be able to sell this company if it was truly automated and had a team of people that worked without me needing it. I could sell this at probably a 4 times multiple. And this is, again, that would be a very good multiple for a business that is doing that kind of profit, because this is actually a small amount of profit for when we're talking business sales. But that would get us to a $1 million net worth. All right, because we own 100% of this business that makes $250,000 a year in profit without us working at all, and we could sell that for $1 million. And so you can see the difference here. It's like, okay, well, one of these takes 10 years. This one is just how long does it take me to automate the creation of $250,000 a year? And so what's interesting here is that almost the actual income between the two is almost identical. But as soon as you achieve it, you almost already have the net worth, because here, time is working against you because you have taxes and you have your living expenses that are cutting out of this every single year. Whereas here, you get the multiplier without your living expenses, with time being an ally for you, which takes us to the next step on our journey. Don't diversify. Diversification is for weenies. Diversification, to quote Uncle Warren, is a hedge against ignorance. You only diversify if you don't know what you're doing. The more you know, the less risky it is. I actually am approaching diversification from a focus perspective, which is, what's the one thing that you're going to invest your most valuable resource? Because when you're early on, you don't have that much money. So your most valuable resource isn't your money, it's your time and your attention. There's 2 ways we can allocate it. V1, we do little allocations like this. I'm gonna look at crypto, I'm gonna look at day trading, I'm gonna look at Forex, I'm gonna look at flipping houses, I'm gonna look at long-term investing in real estate, I'm gonna look into Airbnb, I'm gonna look into starting an ATM business, I'm gonna look at, you get the idea, right? So let's say this is you, and this is your time and attention that you have to pursue any new opportunity. So you say, I need 7 income streams because the average millionaire has 7 income streams. So I'm gonna spread myself thin between 7 different opportunities. And while I do that, I'm gonna be multitasking, trying to fill different cups at the same time with different colors. And I'm somehow gonna wait until one of these things takes off, right? I have to see which ones of these will work. But the reality is not which of these ones will work. Any of them could work if you put the work in, but you have to reach a threshold. Once you get to the top, the extra cash starts spilling over and you actually have a profitable opportunity. Which one of these cups is closer to spilling over? You going in on one thing, or you spreading yourself between 7? And the reason that this myth continues to proliferate is because it's absolutely true that people who are the wealthiest have multiple income streams. But what's not true is about how they got there. The wealthiest people in the world go all in on one income stream and they keep adding it up over and over and over again until it overflows. And then once it overflows, because they're making so much money from their one opportunity, they then start diversifying back between the other different ways. But they made their wealth focusing on one thing, and then they maintain their wealth by distributing it. You don't make money by splitting your attention up. You make it by focusing on the one thing that matters most. V2, you say, what do I really like? Well, I do have experience doing this one thing, and so I'm gonna ignore all of these other opportunities and just go all in on one thing. The reason I'm such a big advocate of focusing your attention on one thing is that this is where you get disproportionate returns. Because I think it's very arrogant to think that your 10% of your attention, where you're not even that good at business to begin with, spread between 10 things, is somehow going to compete against somebody who's putting all of their effort on one thing. But here's the fallacy that most people who are starting out don't get. They think, I'm going to try all of them and see which one works out. Or rather, I'm going to try and start multiple things and see which one takes off. But the reality is that all of them could take off, or none of them could take off, but it's solely based on which one you work on. So it's not which one will work, it's which one will you work on. You want to go as fast as possible through the I have no idea what I'm doing phase, so that you can get to the I do know what I'm doing phase, and I understand the risks that are associated with this, and that's why I don't want to diversify, because I actually get outsized returns here. There's 5 stages that you go through as an entrepreneur when you're considering a new opportunity. Phase 1 is called uninformed optimism. This is where you are uninformed, but you're like, man, this opportunity sounds so great. Look at all these people making all this money. And so then you dive in. And then you get to something called informed pessimism. You're like, oh wow, this isn't as easy as I thought. There's all these other things that they didn't talk about in this ad or in this highlight reel that they show me on this YouTube short about this person that made $1,000 a day going from nothing from her home, right? So then what happens next is you keep working on it, and then you get into the valley of despair. Sad face, sad face. This is where most people quit. And this is what most people do now. ... They find another one of these things to get into, and they go all the way over back here because they think, oh no, this one has doo-doo on this side of the fence. So I'm gonna go to the other side of the fence where the grass is green. But what they don't realize is when they get into that side, it's completely made of manure. And that's why the grass is so green, right? There's poo on both sides. You just didn't know about it until you got there, all right? And so what happens is people keep repeating the cycle over and over and over again, and they never make progress. And so here's the thing, is that when you do find something that you're like, you know what, I kind of like this. Okay, this is harder than I originally thought. I need to keep learning. Wow, this is actually really hard. There's a lot more pieces to this than I understood at the beginning. I guess this is why everyone isn't rich. And then something magic happens. You then start to have informed optimism. You now start to realize you've wrapped your arms around whatever the opportunity is or whatever thing you're pursuing. And you're like, okay, I haven't gotten there yet, but I understand the math. I understand the process of getting where I am to where I'm trying to go. And ultimately, this is what I'm trying to do with this blueprint for you. If I can help you tackle as much of this, or at least compress the time that it takes you to get here,
Alex Hormozy.
That's a big victory for me. And then you finally get to the final phase, which is achievement, which is you actually accomplish externally what you set out to. And most newbies fall out between here and here and then start this process over again. So most people only relive this over and over and over again without ever making it to here, which then naturally leads you to here, because then you have no desire to diversify because you now get it. And what do you do when you're here? You reset the target. And you say, this is where I want to go next. And because you've been through this process once, you understand that, you know what? Me going after this 10 times bigger goal sounds amazing. I'm gonna find out there's some stuff that sucks. There's gonna be a period where it's gonna really suck and it's gonna feel hopeless because I don't see how to get through it. I'm gonna keep chugging and then understand how to get there. And then I'm gonna get there, I'm gonna repeat the process. So now we go to the last part of level 1 of becoming a millionaire. The long game. If I told you to build the tallest tower you possibly could in 10 seconds, here's what you might do. Boom. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time, right? Now, imagine I told you to build the tallest building you possibly could in 10 days. You would probably say, you know what? I can probably get some more boxes. How flimsy is this, right? Like, how stable is this? Do you think this is gonna last a long time? Probably not. So I might build it piece by piece from the ground up with more stable bricks from day 1. And I would keep doing it this way, right? And I'd keep adding and keep adding and keep adding. And then when 10 days came, I might be 5 stories high. And so the reason this is such an important frame shift for people is that the fact that they're in a rush causes them to build the thing they want to build differently. The fastest way to get to this tall is to build it the exact way I did earlier, stack it end to end up to this point. But if I then said, I need you to build something that's 10 stories tall, you would never get there. And what happens is people get stuck, right? They get stuck at this level and they can't add another one on top. And they stay here and they're like, why can't I get my $1 million business to $10 million? And it's because you built it wrong to begin with. And so as much as this sounds painful, sometimes the fastest way to get to 10 million is to start back at zero and build it right to begin with. I talk so much about long game and about making sure that you're building it the right way because.
And to me, that's the ultimate test of what system is better. That's why I make the argument that booth rent is better, because this doesn't happen for me with booth rent. And so although we are commissioned, you know, I'm okay with, I'd prefer booth rent, but unfortunately, you know, we live in a new economy where starting with commission is actually fruitful for us because that gives us more margin, more money to spend on ads. You guys see how our ads print. But eventually, you know, there should be a pathway to no ceilings for a barber. And that actually unlocks a no ceilings pathway for a barbershop as well.
Is this thing
at least for us it does.
And so the hardest thing about building something right is that in the beginning, you need to have something to sell. You need your amazing, valuable thing. And then, that's a megaphone. It's terrible. But then you need to advertise it to let people know about stuff. And then you start making sales. But the problem is that people get to this point and then think, oh, I need to do more marketing and sales, right? Because that's what made me money. But the problem is the more you market and sell, the more people actually find out that this is not a gift and this is actually a big pile of shit. And so what happens is now you've got people who buy this thing and tell their friends, this thing stinks. And then over time, it becomes more and more expensive for you to advertise because your reputation stinks. And so the right way to build it is to understand that you have to build the thing first, and then you gotta let people know about it. But then you don't crank on this. You keep fixing this thing until this guy becomes a happy camper and tells his friends. And until that happens, you keep making this thing better. And this is the same thing as if I did this and just kept gassing it, that's me vertically building the tower and then reaching a max that I can't go past anymore. Versus building it so that I get people to say, wow, this thing's amazing. And so then they also tell people for me. So that when I get to that point, I actually built it with a huge base of foundation and I can keep stacking on top of it. And that's the difference in terms of mindset and perspective of how you actually build something that's going to last. And then along the way with your team and the people that you hire, rather than saying, hey, I just need a body in the seat, I just need a person to do this thing, you're like, who here has talent? And I might interview 20 people for one role rather than 3 so I get the right person. If you feel stuck all the time and you can't make progress, you usually need to go back to the beginning and realize that you built a vertical business that had no foundation to begin with. And now we have our foundation built for level 1 of wealth creation. Level 2 is all about the actual tactics of getting to making your first million. And it starts with finding a hungry crowd. Let me explain what I mean by find a hungry crowd. This guy started a business selling hot dogs and he was given one wish from a genie of what competitive advantage he would be able to have. The first thought he had was like, maybe I'll make my hot dogs cheaper. The genie shook his head and was like,
my bad. What I was saying is every barber that skipped the process, right? Which plan do you think they picked?
Vertical business?
Which foundation do you think they built? The ones who just raise their prices based on feelings, they're not booked. No, they don't have the demand to do it. Which foundation do you think they built?
That had no foundation to begin with. And now we have our foundation built for level 1 of wealth creation.
That's the foundation I try to build.
Level 2 is all about the actual tactics of getting to making your first million. And it starts with finding a hungry crowd. Let me explain what I mean by find a hungry crowd. This guy started a business selling hot dogs and he was given one wish from a genie of what competitive advantage he would be able to have. The first thought he had was like, maybe I'll make my hot dogs cheaper. The genie shook his head and was like, no. He's like, what if I made my hot dogs taste better? And the genie said, no, don't waste your wish on that. Maybe I'll just make mine the fastest cooking so I can serve the hot dogs faster. And the genie said, that's not what you want to waste your wish on. The genie looked at him, holding the hot dogs and buns in hand, and said, it's not about the hot dogs. If you want to build an amazing business, you want to put your hot dog stand on the best corner in front of a starving crowd. Because if your hot dog stand is on the corner, it doesn't matter how cheap they are, how good they taste, how fast they cook. The moment that hungry crowd walks out and sees your hot dog stand, you're going to sell it every time. So right off the bat, I want to talk about two key concepts when it comes to finding a hungry crowd. One is that we have to understand that the market is always going to be the strongest variable in how much money you make, right? If you're selling toilet paper during COVID, you're going to sell out. Right? Because it didn't matter how good your toilet paper was, there was a starving crowd. And so supply demand, which is...
Remember how I talk about what happens during a recession? During a pandemic, it was easy. When the economy's good, it's easy. What happens long term though? That's what Alex is talking about here.
Because it didn't matter how good your toilet paper was, there was a starving crowd. And so supply demand, which is one of the reasons that we have it as our logo, it is the strongest force in all of economics and business. It is the core thing that everything else is built on. And so you have to understand that the market is number one. If I was trying to sell services to newspaper companies, well, newspaper companies are decreasing by 25% per year, compounding negatively in the wrong direction. The next lever on this is the offer that you give people. Right? If you have a superior offer, then if you're in a normal market, that'll be the next lever that you have. If I say, hey, start for free, and I only get paid if you get some sort of result, and it's a truly free, low risk, amazing value, and you get results tomorrow offer, then you're gonna sell 10 times, 100 times more than someone who just has like a, you pay me, and maybe you get results, and maybe you don't type of service or product. The final thing is your ability to persuade. Ideally, go after a really big market with an amazing offer, and be a hell of a persuader. But the thing is you can be terrible at persuading and have a terrible offer and say you can only buy my toilet paper in 80 roll chunks or I'm not gonna sell it to you and still sell out during COVID. But if it's not COVID, then it's how can I make the toilet paper offer that I have significantly more compelling? And if all the toilet paper offers look the same, then it just comes down to how well I can persuade people to buy mine. That's concept one when it comes to finding a hungry crowd. Concept two is the four things that I look for when I'm actually trying to find that market. Number one is I want people who are in pain. You want to make sure that the people that you're selling to are in desperate need. They don't want, but must have the thing that you are selling. The second is that they must have the ability to buy. So purchasing power. So a friend of mine had a business where he helped people who were unemployed fix their resumes so that they could get a job. Now, you might be like, oh wow, tons of pain, absolutely. But the problem was he kept trying to grow this business and he couldn't grow it because they were all broke because they didn't have a job. The third factor that I look for is easy to target. Because at the end of the day, even if you have somebody who's in lots of pain who can buy your thing, if you can never find them, it doesn't matter because they're never gonna buy your thing because they'll never know you exist. And so if I have the choice between two different marketplaces and one of them is like nurses, incredibly easy to find, or something that is way harder to find, like psychedelic Aztecs in Croatia, way harder to target. And you know what? They might have a huge pain and lots of purchasing power to buy my thing, but if I can't find them, it's irrelevant. The fourth one you want to have is that you have a growing market. Now I gave the example earlier about the newspapers, right? So believe it or not, a good friend of mine actually had a business that sold a rev share model to newspapers. So he was an amazingly persuasive guy. He had an amazing offer, which was zero risk. He just said like, let me get a percentage of the revenue that I bring to you. All right, so these two things were completely maxed out, but he couldn't figure out why his company wasn't growing every year. He was beating his competitors and gaining more customers than they were, but still slipping away in terms of his ability to grow. And it was because the entire marketplace as a whole was shrinking. And so you want to make sure that you have all four of these things. You can't just have three of them or two of them or one of them. You need to have all four. And so when you're thinking about what thing you want to sell, start with who you want to sell it to. So you have your hungry crowd, now what do? One avatar, one product, one channel. This is the simplest formula to getting to $1 million plus. All you have to do is find one person that you want to help. It's just making sure that you're very clear on the one very specific person that you are going to help. That is the avatar. The next thing is you want to give them one product. And the reason I say it's one product is that a lot of people overcomplicate their businesses too early. They're like, man, if I want to double my business, I should sell them 3 things, right? And then I'll get them to buy more stuff. But the thing is that if you're under $1 million, you're just adding a ton of complexity when you don't even have that many customers. And so most times you'd be better served sticking with the one thing that you're selling and saying, how can I sell 3 times as many of the exact same person? And that becomes the problem that you solve. But most people get confronted with these issues and then go for the easy route. And again, this is like that building where you can add something on top really quickly, but it doesn't create the skyscraper that you want. Instead, you want to think, how can I do more?
Look at this amazing advice.
The third variable here is
Thank
channel.
you for that
now,
advice, Sandy.
it doesn't matter what channel you're currently acquiring
You're so
customers
genius.
on. You can hit $1 million plus on literally any channel that you advertise on without going onto new channels. So if you do outreach, as in you reach out to people one-on-one to get customers, whether that's cold calls, cold emails, DMs, you can expand and continue to get more customers with that one channel. If you post content, you can keep posting content on whatever channel you're on and just do it better. Post more content, post better content. And by doing so, you'll increase the amount of customers, still with only one money-making product. Or let's say you're running ads. Obviously, if you're running ads, you can just spend more money on the ads, provided you're doing it profitably. And if you can't expand past $1 million a year profitably with paid ads, you have a business problem or you have a pricing problem. You don't actually need to add another channel, because then it again complicates your business, because you're like, okay, well, I'm currently doing, $500,000 a year on YouTube. You know what I'm gonna do? You might think, oh, I'm gonna start doing cold emails, right? As my next way of getting customers. Well, that majorly complicates your business when you're this early on. Now you might be thinking, wait, shouldn't I have diversity of
Look, bro is a failed YouTuber. Let me show you guys something. Bro is a failed YouTuber. He quit 9 months ago. You gave up. You wanted to help people too with your content. And you quit, bro. Why would I take your advice? You're a quitter. Damn, bro. All right, I gotta get out of here, guys. We're going to basketball, right? All right, I gotta get out of here. I gotta take my kids to basketball practice. I will see y'all later on. Hey, guys, enrollments close on November 7th at 5 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you lock in, man.